Yo, this is ridiculous work, what I'm saying right here. I could not believe what I was reading. Kelsey Plum traded to the Phoenix Mercury. Yo, hey, Matt Ishbia. All right, that is the owner of the Phoenix Mercury. Don't come to Atlanta.
2 in the morning. That's when Shams Charania dropped the bomb that had the entire WNBA world doing double takes. Kelsey Plum, 5-time All-Star, traded from the LA Sparks to the Phoenix Mercury. And the reaction you just saw, that's not excitement, that's disbelief. Because when you look at what Phoenix gave up to get her, this trade makes absolutely no sense.
A second rounder, sources tell me, and Kendra Andrews. Now, let's break this down a little bit. Can we talk about this? Okay. This is why I think it's a scam, man. Because the Mercury, they are 11 and 18 right now. All right, they're in 10th place. You need to be at least in 8th place to make it to the playoffs, right? Or to be in the playoff race. So they're out of the playoff race right now. You grab Kelsey Plum, who hasn't played majority of the season. I think she done sat out like 11 games or something like that, right?
Let's break down exactly what the Mercury sent to Los Angeles. Monique Billings, solid role player. Natasha Mack, promising young talent. A 2027 first-round pick. And a 2028 second-rounder. Now here's the context that makes this wild. The Mercury are 11 to 19, sitting in 10th place. They're not in the playoff race, they're not even close. You need to finish 8th or better to make the postseason, and Phoenix is 3 spots below that line with just 14 games remaining. And here's the kicker that makes this trade borderline incomprehensible. Kelsey Plum hasn't played the majority of this season. She's been out 11 games dealing with injury. So Phoenix's grand plan is to bring in a player who needs to get healthy, learn an entirely new system, build chemistry with teammates she's never played with, and somehow spark a playoff push in 14 games. That's not a strategy. That's desperation mixed with delusion. But wait, it gets worse. Much worse. The 2026 WNBA draft is stacked with generational talent. Juju Watkins out of USC and Hannah Hidalgo from Notre Dame are projected as franchise-altering players, the kind of prospects you tank entire seasons to position yourself for. And Phoenix just traded away their first-round pick in that draft. They gave the Sparks a golden ticket to potentially land one of those 2 stars. Now think about the Sparks' position. They're sitting at 10 to 17, in 12th place. Their season is already over, but now they hold 2 first-round picks for the 2026 draft. They can shut it down, embrace the tank, and position themselves to land Juju Watkins, who would be coming home to Los Angeles. You want to talk about conspiracy theories? This trade looks like it was designed specifically to keep Juju in LA. Keep her away from Connecticut. Keep her away from Seattle. Lock her into the second biggest media market in the country. Here's the part that should terrify Mercury fans. Kelsey Plum is an unrestricted free agent at the end of this season. Phoenix didn't just trade valuable assets for a rental. They traded a first-round pick in a generational draft for a player who has zero obligation to stay. She left Vegas to go to Los Angeles. Now she's being shipped to Phoenix. What makes anyone think she's putting down roots in the desert? The moment this season ends, she can walk. And based on the trajectory of this Mercury team, she probably will. Let's talk about what Phoenix actually owns right now after this trade. They're 11 and 19 with 14 games left. Their best-case scenario is sneaking into the 8th seed and getting bounced in the first round. They have no first-round pick in 2026. They gave up young talent for a veteran who might be gone in 3 months. And they're betting everything on a player who hasn't been on the court consistently all season to come in and immediately transform their fortunes. This isn't a win-now move. This is a panic move disguised as ambition. The Mercury have been playing slightly better lately. They've shown some fight, strung together a couple of wins. But adding Kelsey Plum doesn't change the fundamental math. 14 games to make up ground on teams that have been building chemistry all season. 14 games to integrate a star player into rotations and offensive sets. 14 games to overcome a 3-game deficit in the standings while other teams are fighting just as hard to secure their playoff positions. The odds aren't just bad, they're astronomical. Here's what Phoenix should have done. They have 2 aging veterans whose contracts are expiring. This was the perfect opportunity to start a rebuild. Except that this season isn't salvaging. Trade your expiring contracts for picks and young players. Tank hard for position in the 2026 draft. Build around a young core with a potential franchise player. Instead, they mortgaged their future for a desperate playoff push that has maybe a 15% chance of succeeding. And even if it does succeed, what's the prize? A first-round exit and losing Kelsey, Plum in free agency anyway. Matt Ishbia owns the Mercury. He's the same owner who made aggressive moves with the Phoenix Suns, swinging big trades, taking risks. Sometimes that approach works in the NBA, where you can build a contender quickly with the right superstar additions. But the WNBA operates differently. The salary cap is tighter. The roster spots are limited. Draft picks hold enormous value because rookie contracts allow you to build depth while paying stars. Ishbia is treating the Mercury like the Suns, and it's going to backfire spectacularly. The WNBA media is furious about the timing of this announcement. 2 in the morning on a weeknight, Shams drops this trade when most reporters are asleep, giving them no time to prepare proper analysis, no chance to get immediate reactions, no opportunity to break down the implications before the news cycle moves on. It's a power move that shows how much control insiders have over the narrative, and it worked. Everyone woke up scrambling to make sense of a trade that defies logical explanation. Now here's what makes this entire situation even more fascinating. The Sparks didn't just win this trade, they absolutely fleeced Phoenix. They turned a disgruntled all-star who wanted out of Los Angeles into 2 quality role players and the chance to draft a generational talent. That's asset management at its finest. Think about the timeline here. Kelsey Plum requested the trade to LA earlier this year, hoping to play in a bigger market, chase championships, build her brand. It didn't work out. The Sparks struggled. The chemistry never clicked. The wins didn't come. So instead of holding on to a depreciating asset, Louisiana's front office flipped her to a desperate team, willing to overpay. That's cold-blooded business. And Phoenix took the bait. They saw a 5-time All-Star available and couldn't resist. Never mind that she doesn't fit their timeline. Never mind that she's injured. Never mind that she can leave in free agency. They saw a name, a reputation, a chance to make a splash, and they jumped without thinking through the consequences. This is what happens when owners get impatient. When they prioritize short-term excitement over long-term sustainability. When they let ego drive decisions instead of analytics. The Mercury had a clear path forward. Embrace the rebuild, accumulate assets, draft smart, develop young talent. Instead, they chose the flashy move that looks good in a press release, but falls apart under scrutiny. Compare this to how successful WNBA franchises operate. Look at Las Vegas. They built through the draft, made smart veteran additions, created a culture of winning, and sustained success over multiple seasons. Look at New York. They bottomed out, drafted Sabrina Ionescu, surrounded her with complementary pieces, and built a contender. That's how you do it. Phoenix just chose the opposite approach. The Sparks, meanwhile, are sitting pretty. They can tell their fan base they tried to win with Plum, it didn't work, and now they're pivoting to build around the future. They have draft capital, they have flexibility, they have a clear direction, and if they land Juju Watkins in 2026, this trade will be remembered as the heist of the decade. So where does this leave Kelsey Plum? She's a phenomenal player who deserves to be on a contender. Instead, she's on her 3rd team in less than a year, joining a franchise that's scrambling to save a lost season. She'll give maximum effort because that's who she is. But effort doesn't overcome bad roster construction and impossible timelines. She'll play hard, put up numbers, and then test free agency looking for a situation that actually makes sense. The real question is what Phoenix does next. Do they double down on this mistake by trying to convince Plum to stay long-term? Do they make more win-now moves, sacrificing additional future assets? Or do they wake up after the season ends, realize they got fleeced, and start the rebuild they should have started 3 months ago? Based on this trade, smart money isn't on the wise decision. Here's the bottom line. The Phoenix Mercury traded a first-round pick in a generational draft class for a rental player who doesn't solve their immediate problems and probably won't be around to help build anything long-term. The LA Sparks turned a disgruntled star into the assets they need to draft a franchise player and start a proper rebuild. One team is thinking 3 years ahead. The other is desperately trying to salvage the next 3 weeks. If you're a Mercury fan, this should terrify you. Your front office just told you they have no plan, no patience, and no understanding of how to build sustainable success in this league. They saw a shiny object and grabbed it without thinking about the cost. And that cost is steep. draft capital, young talent, and the credibility that comes with making smart basketball decisions. So let me ask you this. Do you think Kelsey Plum stays in Phoenix after this season? Do you think this trade gets the Mercury into the playoffs? And even if it does, was sacrificing a shot at Juju Watkins or Hannah Hidalgo worth a first-round playoff exit? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I need to know if anyone out there can explain how this makes sense for Phoenix. Hit that like button if you think the Sparks just pulled off the heist of the year, and subscribe because we're going to be tracking this disaster all the way through the season. This trade is going to age like milk, and we'll be here to document every moment of it.